Good morning, everyone. Lisa here from Spirit Connections with your Tarot Tuesday video. I know it's been a couple of weeks. It's been quite a couple of weeks. I've had a lot of stuff going on in my own personal life, so unfortunately I haven't been able to commit to doing things the way I would like to. Look for some new stuff going on in my business this year. I have a new workshop I'm working on at the present moment. I also have a new Etsy shop, so look up Spirit Connections 15 on Etsy and you will find my shop for readings. I'm excited about that. So you purchase your reading and then I'll email you and set up a time, or depending on the type of reading that it is, it might just be an email reading. Any of the readings that are listed $5 and $15 are only email readings, and then the longer ones can be done in Skype or in person depending where you're located if you'd prefer that. So today I'm just asking my guides. I have my Ciro Marchetti Gilded Tarot deck. This has just been my favorite deck this year. It has such deep messages, and sometimes the messages kind of come out a little bit on the dark side, so to speak. But I think that's because I feel that we need to be reminded that our dark side, so to speak, it's there, it's always there. And so many times I see people doing something called a spiritual bypass, which is where they excuse me, I still have a little bit of a cold going on here too. Tail end of this 2.5 week cold. Anyway, back to spiritual bypass. Essentially, what spiritual bypass is people who they do a little bit of healing and they feel like, oh, I'm perfect now. There's nothing else negative about me. There's nothing else that can go wrong in my life. I'm spiritual and I'm positive. Guess what? It's not the way it works. It's healing is a long, drawn-out process. 6 years. 6 years I have been doing this. No, longer. 7 years now. Time flies when you're having fun. And there are still moments. Right now I'm struggling with the mother wounds and father wounds and wounds that are being created because of my relationships with my parents is now trickling down into my relationships with my children. I absolutely love my children. However, there are things that they do that I can't change, I can't fix, I can't stop. And so instead of trying to control that, I'm having to learn to step away. And that's really, really, really hard when you love your children so much and you have to step away and let them make their own decisions at times. All right, so I'm just going to ask my guides here what message they'd like to bring to the masses for this upcoming new year. Can you believe it's going to be 2017 this time next week? I'm having a hard time remembering that. All right, so I'm seeing, now this doesn't mean death, people. We have the inverse death card. It does not mean death. If you want to talk about physical death, you're going to get the Ten of Swords inversed. Another story for another day. What I'm seeing is this is actually a really good sign right now, believe it or not. There's a lot of painful stuff going on in a lot of people's lives, and a lot of people are doing things and seeing things, and things are coming up because of the way the energies are, because of the way this Mercury retrograde has been incredibly difficult communication-wise. And I think it's because we really, really need to think much more carefully about the words that come out of our mouths, about what we are projecting, and about what we are thinking, and especially too about the relationships in our lives. If we are having relationships that are toxic, that are negative, that are having a bad influence on our lives, if we are enabling people, if we are being abused And I don't just mean physically or sexually. I mean, there is a lot of verbal and emotional abuse going on in the world these days. You realize that simply calling a complete stranger an asshole when you don't know them is a form of verbal abuse. And I think that's what we all need to be incredibly careful of, is the words that we're using, the words that we're choosing, the attitudes that we're presenting. You drive around like an angry person all the time, and all the other drivers around you are going to be angry because they're going to feed off that energy. And so with one driver being angry, goes to the next driver, to the next driver, to the next driver, until you have hundreds of angry drivers on the road who are just going to perpetuate the situation. And I've learned this even in my own. I have my moments where I'm an angry driver. And I think, well, why can't you just pay attention and get out of the way? And I realized that, hey, wait a second. If I change my thinking and I think, I have plenty of time to get where I'm going, I'm going to hit green lights, traffic's going to be light, things like that. If I truly believe those things, they happen. So we need to change our thought patterns. And that's what this death card is really telling us, is that this isn't about someone physically dying. This is about our way of thinking dying. If that, I hope that makes sense to people, is that we need to take this old way of thinking and to really, you know, stop beating ourselves up, stop worrying about things, and let things happen. Because believe it or not, the universe does want to support us, and we are fully supported by the universe. And it's taken me a long time to even begin to realize this. So please, 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 the next time you find yourself angry at that man who made an illegal turn or passed you on the right or something stupid like that, forgive him and move on. The next card is the King of Coins, and this person has come up a few times in the last few months. I'm seeing that I know there are a lot of people who are concerned about, the outcomes of elections and things like that. And what I'm seeing with this King of Coins here who's come up is, it may not be Mr. Trump himself, but I really do feel that there is a person around him, or who is coming to be around him, who is going to influence things to come. And, you know, he might have some really horrible things to say, but I think in a financial sense, he's going to really try and move things forward for people. And so just remember, for things to come together, they have to fall apart first. So just go with it. If we stay in the fear mentality, if we stay in the lack mentality, stop. My dog is fighting for attention here, and I'm not giving her what she wants in the moment. Lay down, Mama. Lay down. Good girl. Lay down. She's trying to get in the picture here. Say hello to everyone. Say hello to everyone on the camera. All right. Last card here, the inverse Eight of Coins. I really feel as though we are looking at some delays financially, some delays emotionally. And I really feel it's as a result of this Mercury retrograde and the fear. So if you're watching this, if you see this, work on letting go of your fear, work on letting go of your negative thought patterns, because if we don't, we're not going to move forward. And this is a message not just for everyone, but for myself as well. I still have my moments where I beat myself up for mistakes or lessons that I didn't learn. And I think that we all have work to do every day. And it's not something that's going to happen overnight. This is going to be something that is going to take time. And we still every day have to spend some time really thinking about who we are and what we want for the future, and where we want to be. This has been a really big message for the last few months, coming from my guides, that they want me to convey to people, is really, if you want the future to be good, You need to work on you first. Yes, you're a good girl. So with that, on that note, if you want to contact me for a reading, all the information is in the video description below. And so from Timber and myself, we say have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful week. Happy New Year, everyone. Namaste.